Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Stay. This is Coloring Bliss, and today we're going to do Crayola versus Crayola versus Crayola? Crayola has a lot of awesome color pencils out there. We're going to talk about the different kinds of lines they have. Some are geared towards kids and some towards adults. And I'm going to tell you the differences between the two, put them to the test. We're going to swatch them, color with them, do some art science with them, and compare prices with them and sort of determine, are the kids ones the same as the adult ones? Is there a difference between the lines? Should you invest in any of them? Let's talk Crayola. Okay, so we're going to talk about Crayola color pencils now. We're all pretty familiar with this sort of box, although this is a newer box to me in my art studio. This is the 120 different color pencils. Pretty excited about this box. I haven't swatched all 120 colors yet, but I am excited to have the biggest box I could find. Pretty cool. So I used to color with Crayola color pencils when I was young. Did you, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
I've got Steve here, my husband and business partner, so he can ask questions and kind of help through this conversation.
I saw a tub today on Amazon that was like 200 colors or something. I wonder if they're duplicates or what they do.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out. Anyway, as far as I know, this is the biggest set without duplicates, but let me know in the comments below, have you seen a bigger set? Now, I have seen Crayola advertising and creating color pencils that are geared towards specifically the adult coloring market. And we have bought sets along those lines over the years. One of them was this box. Have you guys seen this box? This was the Color Escapes line that they came out with. I think this was one of the very first sets they came out with that was geared towards adult colorists.
That was what? A few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago. And then there's this line, which I think is the line that they're really putting the most effort into as far as marketing and advertising towards people who want to go a step up and beyond this. This is not just for adults, but, you know, kids and mid-range type colorists. So they have markers in this line. They have even like a water-soluble crayon. There's all kinds of products in this line.
Crayola Signature.
Crayola Signature. So this is the only product I've purchased so far in this line, and I wanted to bring them in and see how they compare to just standard Crayola color pencils. We're not going to talk too much about the Color Escapes because they are really hard to get your hands on, if not impossible. So I think they're kind of phasing that out. That's the impression I'm getting, and moving towards this line. This tin here, you can also get it in a 50 set. So either in 24 or in 50, but I think 24 is the easiest to find in this line right here.
Now, I did see that Amazon, it looks like Amazon and Crayola have partnered to create a coloring for adult line. That's basically Crayola and Amazon.
Oh, cool.
You can get those, but when we looked at the colors, they were exactly the same as those 120s.
Yeah.
So I suspect they just took the 120s
and
rebranded it to look more adult rather than child.
So we have talked about white labeling or rebranding on this channel a lot, where companies will go out to different factories or manufacturers and they ask them, please make me a set of pencils, and then they slap their own labeling on that set of pencils that they have manufactured. So I think within Crayola, that's happening. Crayola is having different lines of pencils manufactured, and then they're relabeling their own pencils.
Well, what was annoying to me about it is it even says, when you look at it, it says Amazon exclusive colors or something to that effect. And we looked, they're not exclusive. They have the exact same names as you'll find in the children's line. And yet, again, in this marketing world, they try to make it sound like there's unique colors that are exclusive to that line.
So without actually buying that line, bringing those in, color testing them side by side, looking and holding those pencils, you wouldn't have any idea of knowing whether they are identical pencils just with a different box. you wouldn't know. And this comes back to our discussion that we had a couple weeks ago where we talked about Arteza and some of the marketing ploys and tricks that are going on that upset us. And so this is kind of an extension of that discussion. So is Crayola doing a marketing trick here? Are these exactly the same pencils, just a little different, fancied up? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to put these two sets right here to the test and see what we find out. There are some pencils here in this set that have exactly the same names and colors in this set. So that's what I did first. So I'm going to run some footage here of me swatching all of these. So you'll watch me swatch all of those pencils. And then I also go through a process where I go through this big box right here and look for the same 24 pencils that are in this set. And then I'm going to swatch all 48 again, 24 from this box and 24 from this box. So lots of swatching. So let's go ahead and run some swatching video here so you can see tons of beautiful colors of the Crayola pencils come across the screen. We have a chinchilla in our video. Yeah, we're also a chinchilla in our video.
Keep looking at her.
So you can see here, this is the 24 Crayola color pencils from the Signature line. So we're going to, from here on forward, we're going to call it Crayola Signature. That's the black tin. And you saw me unbox it, and they come in a beautiful tin, which is so much better than the cardboard boxes. So that's one big plus of the Signature line, is better packaging. The color range that you get in the 24 is decent. You're going to see me do some coloring here in a minute with both sets of pencils. And I was able to get a lot of good blends, a lot of things that I was able to do with this set of colors. So I'm happy with this set of colors for a pack of 24. Not too many that are similar in color. Yeah, it's a good set of 24. Okay, so now we get to where we actually start comparing the two lines. So here we're doing Crayola versus Crayola. So we've got two rows. The top row here is standard Crayola, and then we have Crayola Signature, okay? So have white against white, yellow against yellow, and then there's a couple where I couldn't find a pencil that was named, like in the Crayola Signature, it was called Goldenrod, but I did find Golden Yellow, and they are pretty much the same color. This one is slightly more orangey, but it's pretty close. It's pretty good. So that only happened a couple times. That happened on Goldenrod. It happened on Robin's Egg Blue. I found Aqua Green that are pretty much the same color. Was that the only two? I think it was just two colors that I couldn't find exactly the same colored pencil with the same color name. So if you take a look, it's pretty good. Like, are they the same pencils as far as color goes? What do you think, Steve? There's a few, like in the red. The Crayola Signature is definitely a deeper, more saturated red. It's a really pretty red. Same with magenta.
Looks like violet's a little bit different as well.
Violet's a little different. In general, I would say that the Crayola Signature pencils are a little bit more saturated or a more intense color. And I think that has to do with what they're doing in the core of the pencil. We're going to talk about that when we get to the coloring segment, because the cores are definitely different. They have a more, they call it a gel core. I have no idea what this means. Again, I think this is a marketing terminology trick they're throwing out. What does this mean? Gel. And that means nothing to us in the coloring community. Gel? Have you ever heard any core be called gel? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't know what they mean. If there's more wax, if there's more oil, it doesn't make any sense why they're using this word.
Explains it?
No. Crayola has no information. I checked Amazon. I checked their actual website. I mean, it's very frustrating. But there's definitely something going on in the core that's different than Crayola, and that is very evident when you start looking at the pencil on black. So this side here is the signature blend. This is the standard Crayola pencils, and it's definitely really popping on black. Almost every color is doing way better on black. So it's definitely a different formula between the two. So that's good to know. They didn't just take the same pencil, put a different dip of paint on it and call it good, As you saw, there's a difference here. So that makes me feel better. So then I did a couple other tests. So we're going to run that footage right now. I think the first test I did was the water soluble test, which again, I thought it would be interesting to do after our big learning curve from the Arteza pencils, that some pencils have more water solubility, more binders in them that break down even with water. And so I wanted to know, was there a difference between Crayola and Crayola Signature when they get hit with water? So roll that footage and you can see that test. This is the results from the water solubility test. The only one, they basically are about equal in water solubility. There's some bleeding on all of them. Not dramatic bleeding on any of them that I was like, whoa, this is unacceptable. They just do have a little bit of bleeding for each of them. There was one that did a strange thing, and this is in the Crayola Signature line, and it's this blue pencil, which I do have problems with later on during the color test. If you look at the end of the blue pencil where the wood is, you can see a pink tint on the wood. Hopefully you can see that. I'll change the camera view here and see if you can see it in that camera view a little bit better. On the wood, it has a pink tint. So whatever pigments they're using there, it's causing a strange pink tint that showed up when I hit it with water. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know what it means, but I just thought that was interesting. So as far as water solubility, they're pretty equal, and nothing really bad, nothing really great here, but it's about what I would expect, I guess, from a mid-grade to kids grade pencil. So the next test I wanted to try was testing them with odorless mineral spirits. Now, odorless mineral spirits is a solvent. It's a product that a lot of artists use to break down a color pencil so that the pigments can kind of wash down into the tooth and texture of the paper. Mishka, my cat's coming in to talk about odorless mineral spirits with me. Anyway, so odorless mineral spirits is an awesome tool, and you can use it with color pencils. You can use it with crayons. You can use it with all kinds of art supplies. It is a very toxic art supply, and you need to use a lot of caution when you use it. Use it in a ventilated room. Don't use it by any flames. Make sure you clean up your tools when you're working with it, and just read the cautions on the bottle so that you can be safe and keep your pets away from it, your cat. and your dog. Keep them away from it. So what I wanted to see is when I used Odorless mineral spirits with it, did it help with the blend? Did it make the vibrancy of the colors come up? Sometimes with lower grade pencils, it can wash the color and make it look a little odd because there's so many fillers with these cheaper pencils and not a lot of pigments. It can reveal a lot when you hit it with Odorless mineral spirits. So I thought maybe doing a side-by-side test with the two kinds of pencils, it would reveal a lot. So let's run the footage of me doing that art science test, and then we'll talk about the results. You can see that we have two very different results going on here. And we have, this is standard Crayola, this is Crayola Signature, and definitely Crayola Signature likes being worked with odorless mineral spirits more so than Crayola. Again, it's because there are more fillers and probably better pigments going on over here with the Crayola Signature, but both kind of struggled. When you work with odorless mineral spirits, usually you lay down a layer and you try not to hurt the texture of the paper, so you apply it pretty gently, but a lot of pencil, and then you hit it with odorless mineral spirits, and then you can come back and do more layers because you haven't damaged the texture of the paper. And I'm just feeling to see how it did. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it doesn't feel like all of the fillers got broken down, all of the binders and everything. It was kind of difficult to work with the odorless mineral spirits on both of these pencils. And like I said, I think it's because both have a lot of fillers and not a ton of pigments and colors in it. But I'll let you take another peek here, and you can see how much stronger that red orange is compared to that red orange. You can see it here in this blend, how much better the colors blended and moved together. Again here. Yeah, they're both just okay. Again, I think it's because both of these pencils are just sort of okay. All right, so the next thing I wanted to do was actually do a real coloring with it and see how they perform, blending and layering and building up of colors with them. So what I did was this coloring page right here, and I cut my heart right down the center because it worked out that there was about the same number of flowers on one side as there is on the other side. And this half of the flower I colored with a Crayola Signature, and this side are standard Crayola crayons, and I did the same colors, so the same 24 Crayola standard crayons with the Crayola Signature crayons. So there was no advantage from the Crayola pencils with all their 120 colors to pick from. I didn't dip into the extra colors. I stuck to the 24 that I originally selected to keep it fair between the two sets, and I set about coloring to see what kind of layering and blending I could achieve just with those 24 colors. And I wanted to see, as I moved back and forth between the two sides of the heart, could I feel a big difference? Is it like, was I feeling like, oh man, I'm really glad to be back with those signature pencils? Or was it kind of frustrating? How did I feel as I moved back and forth? So I'm going to roll the footage, and you're going to watch me. I'm going to be doing some sharpening of the pencils to get them sharp and ready to go. And I'm also going to be just coloring back and forth with different color combinations to see how I feel. And then we'll come back and talk about the finished product and see how we feel about the color payoff. Can you tell a difference between the two sides and how I feel about it? Now, there was a problem during this coloring, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that too as that problem comes up. So watch the time lapse and watch for the problem. Oh no, these pencils. So this is that Mahogany Pencil, and I was very careful when I sharpened all these pencils. I have this Alvin Brass Bullet Sharpener, which I love to use with my Prismacolor pencils, which are also a very soft core pencil, and have had great success sharpening my Prismacolor pencils with them. So I thought it would be a good pair for these Crayola signature pencils. When you read the packaging, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit, when you read the packaging, it specifically states that you need to use a handheld sharpener to protect these pencils. So that's why I was being super careful with these pencils. And yep, I had 2 pencils break on me with this sharpening. Actually, I think in the end there were 3 pencils that the tips broke multiple times on me. And in the end, I ended up shifting over to using my Carl. Carl is a Helix Sharpener, a hand crank Helix Sharpener, and I had better success getting a good point, and they didn't break as often with the Helix Sharpener. So that's not good. I do not like a pencil that breaks on me and that I have to feel like I need to baby as I'm coloring. So this is Carl. He is my Helix Sharpener. He's a hand crank sharpener that I was just talking about during the video, and you saw me using him. The reason I don't like Carl is because he is very aggressive, but he is good at holding pencils steady. So you can see this is a pencil here that needs some sharpening. This is the Crayola signature. So what Carl is good at is when you pinch his ears and shove a pencil in there, he holds that pencil very stable while you are sharpening. So that is super great for a pencil that has a very soft core like these Crayola signatures. So then you hold Carl steady like this and just crank it, and his little faceplate moves forward as you crank. And it usually only takes 4 or 5 cranks of Carl, and then you pinch his ears and you can remove your pencil and it's sharpened, and generally speaking the core is very protected doing that. So oh, and Carl also bites. I don't know if you can see, let me change the view so hopefully you can see the bite marks that Carl puts into the pencil right there. So if you have like a really expensive pencil that you really care about, having these bite marks is a bit annoying, and you can feel it with your finger when you're coloring and holding that pencil, so that's annoying. And he does create these really fine shavings, which can be a big mess if you don't dispose of them carefully. So a little heads up on that. So I highly recommend this brand. There's lots of different Helix type sharpeners. This one's all metal. I'll put a link to Carl for you in the video description in case you are interested. I also highly recommend the little Alvin brass bullet sharpener and our Coom sharpeners, both of which are very inexpensive and have the really good German blades on them. And usually these are my go-to protect the pencil sharpeners, and for some reason they just weren't working with the Crayola signature pencils. They did create some gorgeous curls, and on that blue pencil where we're having that pink tint come off, you can totally see that pink tint on that wood. Look at that, just fluorescent pink showing up on that blue curl. It's very interesting. So I know my sharpeners were sharp because we're getting these beautiful curls. So it wasn't the sharpener. It has something to do with the very soft core on those pencils. So look at those beautiful curls. I love them. Okay, so let's take a peek now at the finished coloring project and see which side you prefer. So I'm going to hold it up, and I kind of was hoping that when it was done there would be like a real noticeable difference between the Crayola signature side and the standard Crayola side, especially when you start thinking about prices. We haven't talked much about prices yet, so let's see. On average, I brought up some prices, both of what I paid when I purchased them back in January 2021 and their current pricing as of February. I think that when I checked the prices, it was February 15th. And the Crayola signature pencils are coming in at about 61 cents per pencil, and the standard Crayola pencils are coming in at about 19 cents per pencil. So that means the signature pencils are about 3 times more cost than a Crayola pencil. That's a lot more money. So I was hoping to see a 3 times improvement on performance, color payoff, blendability, all those kinds of things with my experience with coloring. And there was some improvement, but not 3 times better. That was kind of my feeling about it. So let's take a look at it straight down, and you can see, let's talk it through. I think over here is the Crayola half. So if we cut it in half, this half is Crayola and this half is Crayola signature. This flower here was done in Crayola signature, even though it's half and half. It was mostly on this half, and I needed to do a comparison. Now, this flower, I would say, definitely turned out prettier in the signature blend than it did on the Crayola blend. And I think it has to do with those reds. They're just more, better saturated, better intensity and color. But like in these little blue-greenish flowers, there's not that much of a difference. Are these 3 times better than these? I don't think so. Hey, Steve, you want to come over and take a peek with me and see if you think this side of the heart is 3 times better than this side of the heart? Do you think this is 3 times better?
That's hard to say 3 times better. Specifically, it's better.
Yeah. Like, I think this flower is definitely better than that flower.
I think the big flower, it just looks like on the right that things blend a little bit better together to me.
A little deeper colors.
Yeah. The colors are a little richer, and they seem to blend a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, I do think they're better.
Yeah. But 3 times better. That's where I get caught up. Is this 3 times better?
I think for me, it would have to come down to the price range of the Crayola Signature and what pencils in that price range are you comparing them to.
Yeah. So, yeah, where we're doing a Crayola versus Crayola, it's kind of tricky for me because I don't know if would I rather see you have a big set, because for about the same price. So this set right here is coming in at anywhere between $15 and $20. And this set with 120 pencils is just a little over $20. So it's pretty comparable, these two sets. So you get 120 pencils versus 24 pencils, and these pencils aren't wowing me. We have some core issues. Let's see, I wrote down a couple problems. The Crayola Signature are very crummy. They were putting off a ton of crumbs, and the crumbs were causing issues. They were getting mixed in when they shouldn't be mixed in, and they were frustrating me. They are having sharpening issues. Not just that they were breaking. Once I figured out the Carl pencil sharpener was working better, things started to improve, but also I was having trouble keeping a point on the Crayola Signature pencils because they're such a soft core. So I had to sharpen those way more than I was sharpening the standard Crayola pencils. So that means I would go through these pencils a lot faster than the standard Crayola pencils. And I was afraid to really lean in on these pencils for fear that I would break the cores again. Let's see, so that means to me these won't last as long. The Crayola pencils, some just aren't as vibrant. They're harder to work with. But I think they layered better. They didn't blend as well, but I think they layer better, which is strange to me. Maybe because the core is harder, so they layer better, a different kind of filler. I don't know. But I think they are better in general for beginners because they don't have that strange issue with the softer core. So I think it depends on your level of coloring. For kids, I think these are definitely better than these because of the sharpening issues. And if you have a kid that's kind of rough and tumble with pencils, these are definitely going to be the ones to give them. They get more colors. They can be tough with them and sharpen more aggressively with them without worrying about breakage. Where these ones are definitely, you got to be more gentle. You got to know how to sharpen pencils, use the right tools. But you get better color vibrancy. You need to know how to blend. I would suggest using Jennifer's rule of blending thirds. That worked really well with these pencils. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. Crayola versus Crayola. I think I would have you go for this set. If I was sitting there and you were trying to decide between which set to buy, I would rather have you buy more colors and have more fun things to pick from than a set that I would be afraid for you that they would be problematic and not last very long. I think that would be my final say in these two sets of pencils. That would be my advice. So for that battle of Crayola versus Crayola, I think this box won. So I'm going to put a link to both products in case you're curious about both of them. As always, I'm still a Prismacolor girl. I believe these pencils, at least here in the US, these pencils are actually getting close to, sometimes when you buy the big 150 set, the per pencil cost. These pencils are within that same price categories. So they're kind of competing with Prismacolor, and that's when you put them up against Prismacolor, these would lose every time. So when you think about it that way, it's even more disappointing. So anyway, I'm excited to see what else Crayola is putting out. We may have to get a few of their other products in their signature line. If you would like us to invest in some of those other products, please comment below and let us know which ones in that signature line you would like to have me try out on our channel, because I would be curious which ones you're curious about. So thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to see how I like to compare and test and color with these fun color pencils. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye, everyone.